Thank you, comrades, and my sincere gratitude to all the delegates of the 117th National Convention for the honor, for the trust, and the confidence that you have placed in me. I want to first congratulate our new Senior Vice Commander-in-Chief, Keith Harmon from Ohio, and our new Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief, B.J. Lawrence from New Mexico. Of course, our new Auxiliary National President, Colette Bishop from Iowa, and her line officers, and also a hearty well done to their entire organization for exceeding 100% in membership. I want to also thank past Commander-in-Chief, Big John Bajetsky from Pennsylvania, and John Stroud from Nevada, who welcomed me onto their teams. Past Adjutant General John Hamilton, Quartermaster General Larry Maher, and Assistant Adjutant General Jerry Newberry for their long and dedicated service to the veterans of foreign wars. And to our new Adjutant General Bob Wallace, Quartermaster General Deborah Anderson, and Assistant Adjutant General and the new Executive Director of the Kansas City office, Kevin Jones, for stepping up to the plate to meet the challenges and the opportunities that lay before our great organization. I also want to recognize a few individuals who gave me the strength and greatly enriched my life and spirit, and who joined me in the commitment to serve our nation's veterans, her troops, and all their families, past, present, and future. To the late Cooper T. Holt of Tennessee for his early encouragement, to Billy Ray Cameron of North Carolina for installing me along with Glenn Gardner, and to all the past Commander-in-Chiefs for their support and mentorship. To my great comrades in the Southern Conference, and especially my new Chief of Staff, Carl Kalin from Kentucky, and our new Inspector General, Hal Roche from Virginia. In the beginning, to Cookstown Post 6590 in New Jersey, where I first joined this great organization, and to Garden City Post 120 in New York, who welcomed me as I transitioned from the Air Force. To Middletown Post 1170, Kentucky's District 6, and the entire Department of Kentucky, where my new job with UPS allowed me to put down roots. To the love of my life, Jean, and our two children, Tara and Andrew, for helping those roots to grow strong. And to my mother and father, for bringing those roots over here from Ireland. Comrades, 2 months ago, thanks to the leadership initiative of our membership director, Bob Kreider, and his staff, I received a briefing from 7 new MBA graduates from Rockhurst University in Kansas City. Their master's project was about the VFW brand, and one of those 7 grads was a VFW-eligible veteran who hadn't yet joined because he thought we didn't represent him personally. In other words, he wasn't sold on the VFW brand. After he was discharged, he wanted to be part of something big. He said he wanted to be part of something that was cool. It had to be one or the other, because dull and boring didn't cut it for him. And then came the branding project and the deep dive that they did into what the VFW is and what we do and who we do it for. And one of his takeaways is that the VFW has to brag more. And I wholeheartedly agree, because brand is what the customer thinks, not how we perceive ourselves when we look in the mirror. Now, we all know that this great big organization we call the VFW does something very cool. But sadly, most Americans, and especially those who serve in uniform, just don't really know us, because we don't shout from the rooftops enough. We don't tell them about the cool things that we do, like raising nearly $50 million annually to support our communities. We don't tell them that we volunteer 9 million reported hours annually to assist others. We don't tell them that we provide well over $5 million in grants to help veterans, to help their families through emergency financial situations. We help more than 80,000 veterans transitioning the military to receive $1.5 billion annually in their earned compensation pension from the VA. We don't tell them that we provide millions in scholarships to veterans, service members, high school and middle school students. Being directly responsible for working with Congress to create, protect, enhance virtually every quality of life initiative, every program for our nation's veterans, our service members, and for their families. And that's everything that we do is free. And we do it because we just want to pay it forward to all of those who serve. That's what a cool organization does. We just need to tell our story more, to share our story more, to talk the talk, to walk the walk, to belong to something big, to do something cool, to brag more. Comrades, there are your 3 takeaways. We must push the message that the VFW is an organization that has always been rooted in service to others, that we as an organization of doers, and we're an organization comprised of patriots who returned home from their wars and conflicts as better, more compassionate, more confident human beings. We need to fully leverage all our communication tools to better tell our service story, your service story, and the activities of today, VFW. Now, National Headquarters will soon unveil a new intuitive website coupled with a new mobile app for your smartphones and a new direction for the VFW magazine that will focus more on what we do as an organization today. We will also continue to produce more high-quality public service announcements for your use online, for you to share with your local news medias, outlets, and any others who will help share our stories, your story of service to others. I promised VFW National will do its part, but National can't do this alone. We need your departments, we need your post to turn up the volume, to adjust the squelch, and to communicate every story, to include the VFW action alerts regarding legislation that we either want passed or defeated. And if VFW ever gets maligned along the way in our positions, we'll correct that record too, and very loudly. As it's often said, it's not bragging if you can back it up. And comrades, we can back it up. And that's why my rallying cry, yes. We have to brag. We have to tell that story. And that's why my rallying cry for this year is clear the way. We need to take ownership of our brand and change the community's view of the VFW. Every VFW post is considered a nest of heroes, but not always as a strategic asset that can be relied upon time and time again as the go-to patriotic organization full of willing volunteers who put community and nation above self. And that's a narrative that only we can change. And brand ownership has to be embraced at the local post level. I need you to push the message that the success of the VFW has always been because of our service to others. It's how we pay it forward to every generation who raises their right hand and takes the oath that very few have taken. I need you to embrace social media just as much as you've already embraced smartphone technology. Why? Because it communicates instantly and allows for instant feedback from not only our membership, but from the communities we serve. It also allows you to push special projects, such as the Mental Health Awareness Program the National President and I will be working on this year, which will include partnering with our national mental health nonprofits such as Give an Hour and One Mind. Comrades, it's no secret that 20 veterans commit suicide every day. But what most folks don't know is only 5 of those veterans, 5 of them, are enrolled in the VA. Professional mental health counseling isn't the VFW's forte in so much as having walked the talk is. And that's powerful relevance for those who deploy and for their families who anxiously await their safe return. And it doesn't matter if your war was in Europe, was in Africa, was in Asia or the Middle East. It doesn't matter whether it was in this century or the last. We were all younger once, and we all came back different in one respect or another, to include thinking that no one understood us. Comrades, the VFW cannot allow any service member to ever think that no one understands them, which is why earlier this month, I was proud to be a panelist at the National Press Club, along with representatives from Given Hour, the George W. Bush Institute, and the global communication and marketing firm Edelman. We were there to discuss the campaign to change direction. What we are doing is changing the veterans' narrative. We could call it the veterans brand, a brand right now that has 40% of Americans believing that half of all veterans are experiencing mental health challenges, and an astounding 92% of employers believing veterans need access to mental health care programs. The national president and I will keep you posted as our mission to change that narrative expands and what you need to be doing at the local level to help. Comrades, my commitment to you is to double down on our service to others. Service with a focus and more funding for programs that assist your fellow veterans, our troops, and their families. Our service grant program will be enhanced to help you better execute your mission and perhaps to underwrite future efforts. I will say that those posts who truly excel, who embrace community service, will receive national recognition and access to additional grant funding. But this extra support comes with an entry fee, and that's for your departments, for your posts, to get on board with social media and start communicating your services, your successes, your best practices, your story, our story. Doing so lets others know that you're part of something big, that you're doing something cool, and that you're sharing your stories. I will also capitalize on the fact that the VFW just elected its first Desert Storm veteran as Commander-in-Chief, and that the younger VFW leaders being elected every year are coming from more recent wars, and they're being elected to higher and higher offices. In fact, this year, several state commanders are Iraq and Afghanistan veterans. We also have 6 women state commanders, along with our Quartermaster General filling those ranks. All are taking their rightful place in the succession of leaders in the history of our great organization. Comrades, the VFW has a 117-year-old pedigree. And what that means, perhaps it means nothing new to a new generation of veterans who need to be sold on why we charge dues and when newer veteran organizations simply harvest emails. I will admit that the public perception of the VFW has too often been eclipsed by some of these newer organizations. Much of their success can be directly attributed to their effective two-way communication. That's why I'm pushing technology so much. We should embrace other new veteran service organizations where possible and partner with them, especially those who like getting their hands dirty out in the community. After 15 years of nonstop war, these younger comrades bring to the table what we need. They bring action, not talk. Action, which is an energy we need to fully embrace and absorb. Historically, most new war-specific organizations fade away once their wars end. And that's what makes the VFW so unique, because we are built on the rocks of eternity, not the sands of time. And I'm proud to be a Gulf War veteran. I must take this opportunity to thank the Vietnam veterans everywhere, here, back home, all across America. They were the ones that helped America heal, for teaching America how to disassociate the politics of war from the warrior fighting the war, and for ensuring that my generation got a parade when we returned home. Yes. Comrades, I talk about the future because our organization can no longer operate like we did in the past. I need not remind you that service is why 14 veterans founded this organization back in 1899. Service is our product, and service to others is why you are all here this week in Charlotte. You are the leaders of our great organization. I ask you to dream big, get out of your box, commit to making the hard right choices instead of the easy wrong ones, to be inclusive, not exclusive, to talk less and execute more, to find ways to say yes more than you will say no, to reach out to organizations like the Student Veterans of America, which has 1,300 chapters on colleges and campuses everywhere. And I ask you, if you have a military installation in your backyard, make sure you post sponsors on base military awards programs. Because in the military world, visibility is everything. So being invited to these events gives you an opportunity to give your best 2-minute elevator pitch to an attentive crowd who identifies with belonging to something big, who identifies doing something cool, and who are unafraid to brag when it's true. Comrades, I want to again congratulate our great auxiliary for exceeding 100% membership. And I also want to congratulate our 22 departments, our 71 districts, and our 272 posts who also exceeded that leadership goal. Along with recruiting new members, we should also take a lesson from the business world as it pertains to bringing back customers. In our case, we call it reinstating former members. Selling to former customers is normally easier than acquiring new ones, with success rates historically ranging from 20 to 40%. But that's often contingent on finding out, first and foremost, why did they leave us in the first place? And the only way to do this is to ask them. Ask them with the full expectation of getting an earful back in response. How many post commanders, how many department commanders or adjutants asked former members, why didn't you renew your membership? How many explained that they didn't like this post, that they could transfer to another post, or they could join over as a member at large? Perhaps joining the social media world might communicate also a message of progress back to these former members, as well as advertise your local post accomplishments and present new volunteer opportunities to those who might want to come back into the fold. Comrades, I pledge to do everything on my end to turn the tide. And the first thing I'm doing is listening more. Like to that young veteran from Rockhurst University I told you about earlier, Kenneth Stowell, who I'm proud to say is now a new member of VFW Post 7356 in Parkville, Missouri. Like him, I first became a member. It was at VFW Post 6590 in Cookstown, New Jersey, because I and it had a desire. What it had a robust troop support program for the nearby Air Force, Army, and Navy installations. The camaraderie within Post 6590 kept me coming back. And the mentorship of post leaders like Bobby Hacker and Donnie Wine increased my awareness of the VFW's service-first mission. In my case, it was the energy of knowing that every hand that I shook was from another great American patriot. And I wanted to meet men and women who served in every American war or conflict going back in my history books. And I wanted to meet their families too and ask how they were doing. And if there was anything that the VFW could do to help, to assist. I wanted to hear their stories. I wanted to share mine. I wanted to join something bigger than myself, and I did. And I wanted to do something cool. I'm doing something very cool now. I wanted to keep sharing my story. I wanted to keep sharing my story. But more importantly, I wanted to keep sharing your story. I wanted to keep sharing our collective story of continued service to our great nation. I strongly believe that service is the path to our future, and that increased membership will be a welcomed, organic byproduct of our service to others. Replenishing our ranks is even more important if we are to keep beating back the efforts of politicians, pundits, and politically motivated organizations who want to dismantle and privatize VA healthcare, with some even proposing that veterans should be charged for their service-connected care. To that, the VFW says, hell no. Election year or no election year, I promise you that the VFW will not stand as politicians who do not use the VA healthcare system, much less who never served, try to dictate when and where veterans can receive care. And we have collected direct feedback from 20,000 veterans, and their message is very clear. Improve the VA. Don't dismantle the VA healthcare system. And before I conclude, I want to again thank the City of Charlotte and its Convention Center for this fantastic hospitality, and to the convention chairman, past Commander-in-Chief Billy Ray Cameron, and past North Carolina Department Commander Jack Goyne for an outstanding job. How about another round of applause? Absolutely. Governor, let's only just touch again on the guest that we had, this being a political year. And the eyes of the nation were upon us this week as we heard from both presidential candidates. And what we heard were mostly the right things about properly taking care of veterans, service members, and their families. We heard about fixing the VA and about the internal and external challenges and the threats that face our nation. Comrades, between now and November, you are going to hear many promises from many candidates running for every public office. And no matter your party or ideology, I encourage you to make your positions known to all your candidates. Let them know that our VFW cares about the safety, that we care about the security of our nation, her people, and our allies, and that ending sequestration is a must. And let them know that eliminating or outsourcing the VA is a non-starter. Make sure that they know that the VA, or the VFW, is a nonpartisan organization, but not to misconstrue our neutrality as an opportunity to malign us. Let them know that veterans matter. Let them know that veterans vote. And let them know no one, and I repeat, no one, does more for veterans than our Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. Again, you have the voice. You have the tools. You need to communicate. And I thank you again for this great honor. And God bless our organization, our men and women in uniform, their families, the United States of America. Now I ask you, let's get out there and brag. Thank you.